Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. What another wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. Hopefully you're tuned in to our sister station Breeze FM and listening to the proceedings in the House of Parliament and having those discussions around the table under the breadfruit tree. Maybe you're sitting, somewhere by the seaside. Maybe you're like me, wishing what was could once again be. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK. 1:30 we get a chance to talk to our good friends over at the Economics and Statistics Office about the ongoing census, get some perspective between now and then. Well, because of our schedule, is going to be a bit festive in a spirit of celebration. But for the opening few minutes, let's have some open line. Let's share some of the thoughts that have been conveyed to us. Let's invite you to, equally share with us. 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. We sit some days and we ponder. Some days we are restless in our spirits, our minds. Sometimes, I just wonder, and as we wonder about what will be. And other times, we really don't care at all. But sometimes we're just so busy trying to stay afloat, keep from, drowning in this sea of life that we seemingly don't have time to even think. And maybe that is the trick of the enemy, keep you so busy and preoccupied that you no longer have time for yourself. For others, as you are so, caught up in life that you can't even live. Well, my prayer and petition is that that is not the case. That if it's the cool breeze that is blowing, that is not just signifying the winds of change, that it is now renewing the spirit and the mind, moving the body forward in a healthy way, and being mindful that through a healthy interaction, that association with others, that level of camaraderie that we should have, the sense and open display of civility in our actions and in our thoughts, in all of our endeavors, will position us to make invaluable contributions that are lasting, meaningful, positive, constructive, nurturing. Now, you may think sometimes words are just words. Well, there are those of us who, like the scriptures, share that there's life and death in the tongue. Many people perhaps fail to appreciate that the little things we say have untold consequences. It may impact others' perspectives and perceptions. It may, at some point, speaking to the scriptures, speak it into being. Call those things that aren't as if they were. Well, doesn't mean that we are just positive, because what is it? Faith without works is dead. We can think and act in unison and bring about that positive outcome. Doesn't always happen then, doesn't always happen for us. But wouldn't it better to have a positive thought than a negative rhetoric one? Would it not be better as we think on the good and meditate on what can be better, than to wallow in self-pity and to have a life of regret? Well, share with us where you are. 949-8037, 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. And such as a time as this, maybe it's imperative that as a people we consider strongly what our actions and our words will mean and cause others to feel and potentially do as well. We are indeed, for us anyway, living in a different time. But is it unprecedented? Is it that we are selfish and self-serving, perhaps insular in some ways, insensitive in others? Or is it that, again, we just, because of the changing sort of paradigm that falls sometimes to us and not within our control, that we feel a sense of fear? People say that change is inevitable, change is the only constant, and maybe it's because we're not driving the change why we feel that we're not in control, so therefore we're uncertain, and then that uncertainty leads again to a sense of fear, and we become so fearful that we become paralyzed, and in that paralysis we're not able to act. Not only act, but act proactively, act positively and productively. How do we change that? Well, one would be mindful that health of body, mind and spirit would help. But how do we get there? Well, I'd be amazed, we have a look at our pets, or even some of the little animals and insects and the like around our yards, provided that we still haven't cleared everything and there's still space for them to occupy this land that we have as well. But you see them, going sometimes and just laying in the sun for a little while. Well, if it's good for them, we know it's good for us. How many of us are vitamin D deficient? According to our physicians, a lot of us. Exercise, just movement, it's good for us at every age, at any age. The young child that isn't moving, we're concerned. Well, we know that the importance, the significant reduction in osteoporosis because of strength training has been studied and measured in women, and that increased resistance training helps them to have a greater sort of capacity to resist breakage, falls and the like, but also healing and recovering that strength. A body in motion still is in motion. See, a rolling stone gathers no moss. Sometimes we're just rolling all the time, but aimlessly. So that brings us to the idea of the mind. We know from what our scientists have shared, from our sociologists to our physiotherapists and the like, that playing games like dominoes and checkers and chess and cards, word puzzles, reading, it helps to keep the mind sharp. But what about the communication and conversation, that physical interaction that we as a people need? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I sit and imagine that the window through which I look sometimes creates a majestic vista. I'm up on a hill somewhere in Bosun Bay or Mount Pleasant, or if I'm lucky, up in Gun Bay somewhere, or might even be on the bluff. And I look down into the bay, and out on the sea there's a sailing yacht. Wow. See, the imagination can be fertile. But we've got to pause and take a break, and when we come back, more Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045. Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The technology sector is forecast to be one of the fastest growing industries in the next decade, with more jobs available than skilled people to fill them. Enterprise Cayman is helping to fill this void and grow the next generation of Caymanian innovators, giving young people access to high-quality learning experiences with the opportunity to pursue careers in technology and innovation sectors. Learn to code, how product development works, enter professional competitions, access high-tech resources, network with special economic zone industry professionals, and much, much more. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to find out more. Brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. 949-8037 or the Flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255. When you call, today you have a very, very special invitation and an even more special sort of surprise. Susan will answer the phone when you call. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne. Good afternoon, Miss Susan, and to all those out there listening to us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing okay. I just want to talk about the extensive search and rescue operation that was conducted last week.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so that morning I got a call from the authorities around.
Mr. Raymond, sir, just if I could, a little bit of a challenge hearing you. If it's the echo, if it's the speakerphone, if it's the connection with the cord, if you could adjust it for us, please.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, fine. Yeah, just due to the location, I shifted location and it's better now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the unreliable cell phones. That's a problem several people have sometimes, many times, in fact.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of unreliability across the world, even in people's words and actions. Yeah.
Okay, so the search and rescue operation, like last week, Thursday morning, I got a call from the authorities at 10:30 about 2 men missing in a boat. Was en route from Grand Cayman to Little Cayman in a 32-foot boat. Well, I got the call at 10:30, then I got a call again from another authority at 10:35, and then around 10:45, I got another call. Three persons called me, and I was actually up in the forest looking over a job site up in the forest when I got the calls, and the person heard me talking, and the person is from Grand Cayman. They said, well, Mr. Raymond, we know what you do and the important role you play.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go ahead, leave me here, and we'll come out, and you go ahead and deal with that. So I came home and started contacting ships, and by 10:30 and 10:42, 12 minutes later, I had a container ship on a search for the missing boat with the 2 men on board. And at about 10:50, I had another ship. They were both between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman. And then I directed the container ship to full speed ahead, and to head toward, that was actually far southeast of Cayman Brac.
Mm-hmm.
The passage going between the islands, but at the time it was far southeast, like 50 miles. So I requested for the captain to request to the engine room for full ahead, maximum speed to come in the passage between the 2 islands. That's where it was reported to. Said the boat was missing in between the 2 islands, Grand Cayman and Little Cayman. So that ship came to the scene, searched all around, then I turned the ship to a westerly direction and back southwesterly toward Grand Cayman, and slowed it down to dead slow ahead, and actually stopped the ship in that area until the Coast Guard helicopter came to the area. Now here's what the report that we got saying. At 1:12 that afternoon, some report came in, I think, to 911 from one of the men on the boat. I think it must have been the captain, saying that a red hull ship had just passed us. So the container ship, now I made the radio call to the container ship asking, what color is your ship's hull? He said, my hull is green. I said, do you have any red color on your ship? He said, we have orange container on deck. Okay? And that was confirmed. So the next thing I knew about, that a red hull ship had passed north of Cayman Brac going east, going to St. Croix. And then we said, well, that had to be the ship that crossed, that the missing men in the boat seen, this red hull ship that went north of Cayman Brac. So I contacted that red hull ship, give the orders to turn around and come back to the position where it was.
Right.
And they came searching. I had the second ship join in the search east of Cayman Brac till about 8 o'clock that night. The 2 ships between the islands did the search, and then I had the 5th ship, 2 helicopters, and the 3 ships searched an extensive area. And then at around 10 o'clock that night, I got a call saying that a boat had came ashore in Little Cayman, came up on the reef, and the occupants were safe, were unharmed. So next report came saying that the boat was on the mooring, Little Cayman. Anyway, the authorities went out and escorted it in and took the 2 occupants off, and they were treated at a medical facility there by a nurse, and then the captain was said to have been flown to Grand Cayman for medical treatment because of the trauma involving being out at sea, out there, disabled and drifting. So that was how it went. I was occupied with that from 10:30 in the morning until 10 p.m. in the night, roughly 12 hours from back and forth to the radio, just about, say, glued to the radio. I mean, being close contact with helicopter pilot, with the authorities in Grand Cayman, and with family and friends. And then it was me that broke the news the night around 10 o'clock. So I think the wife and the 13-year-old daughter, that your dad and your husband is safe there. They made it into Little Cayman, and what a delight the news, the breaking of that news was put into here.
Indeed, yes.
Made it to Little Cayman. And it's quite touching. The 13-year-old daughter said to me, Mr. Raymond, please find my daddy. I said, well, I'm doing all I can to have your daddy located. I've been at it from 10:30 this morning, and then I broke the news to him that your daddy is safe in the Cayman. So that's my motto of I had urgent work to go to do that morning, and when I got this news, I just stopped and went to the radio and made my search and rescue operation very productive, and that's how I stayed at it until I heard that they were rescued. So that made the 85th search and rescue operation I has conducted in 40 years, with over 600 people involved in safety of life at sea. People see Raymond and hear Raymond about on the radio and this, and when they're fast asleep in bed, I'm out busy doing and helping and saving lives.
Yes, sir.
A lot of them don't know the massive potential importance it is in what I do with the safety of life at sea.
Well, that's it. We are not just from the seafaring heritage and the strong maritime, connections across the globe, but what you do save lives, is very important. So I know people appreciate it, even if you don't feel valued.
Yes, sir. On the other hand, about maritime activities, around 5 o'clock this evening is a mega transport, one of the biggest transports in the world, passing to the southwest of Grand Cayman outside of 12 Mile Bank. That is among the world's biggest container port cranes to be placed in the New Orleans area to handle container ships that can carry 22,000 containers.
Wow.
That project should be operational by about another year time. The port will be operational, so the Cayman Islands will be seeing among the biggest container ships in the world passing through our waters come around the first of end of next year. This year coming, end of next year.
Wow.
And when that ship left Shanghai, China, where they manufactured the cranes, they're like $13 million a piece, and there's 3 of them sitting on top, a super tanker size ship.
Wow.
Shanghai, China on the 27th of September. So they make 64 days at sea, and it's doing around 12 miles per hour. It's 120 miles to the south of Little Cayman now, coming on a north-northwesterly course. Going to be passing around 5, 6 this evening to the south of 12 Mile Bank. So that's another mega structures that are passing the Cayman Islands, built in China and being placed at the dock in New Orleans to accommodate, make New Orleans one of the biggest container ports in the United States to handle these mega container ships. They can't come through the Panama Canal. That size ship will have to come through Suez Canal or through Cape of Good Hope from China. They cannot come through the Panama Canal. They're 200 feet wide, 196 feet wide, and the Panama Canal is only 178 feet, around 180 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that's a mega leap for the port of New Orleans to be receiving these cranes, and they're standing 400 feet in air above the ship's deck and 250 feet across. They're welded solid to the ship's deck for transport from China, and the Chinese are the world's number one builder of these cranes for every port in the world that has big container ship handlers. China is the world's number one manufacturer. And quite some interesting news. China's newest ore carrier came in right last night. They have a big influence now in Trinidad, the Chinese, and in Jamaica, all of the Caribbean islands, all of Central America, getting their grips and stronghold on the islands. So they loaded a cargo of direct reduced iron, which is a powder iron, in Trinidad, and carried it to New Orleans. And this was on China's newest ore carrier, chartered and loaded in Trinidad, the Caribbean island, and gone carried it to New Orleans. Think no American, no British. It's a Chinese ship. They're in and out Jamaica by the dozens, carrying cargoes from all over the world. So that's it's a good thing. We needed the dock in Grand Cayman, but I'm happy that China Harbor Engineering did not get the job to do the dock in Grand Cayman, because that would have put a strong hole in the Cayman Islands, and that's what we need to avoid.
Well, I certainly appreciate, Mr. Raymond, you sharing your thoughts, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much for keeping us informed. As we just read a comment from one of our listeners, it says, Mr. Raymond should be recognized for his efforts to help people at sea. Really appreciate his help and hearing his stories. So, again, Mr. Raymond, thank you for keeping us posted. All right, and I'm glad that you have made yourself available, for these last 4+ decades. So, with that, we'll pause quickly and take a short break. When we come back, who's going to be the next caller? Who's going to get the chance to hear Sydney? Susan's voice is right there. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Study local and go far this spring. Want to start your bachelor's or associate degree, or just need a few classes to complete? Registration is now open for spring classes at UCCI. Scholarships are available for the spring semester, but you need to act now to meet the deadlines. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky to enroll now. Classes begin January 10th. Enroll by December 1st for a chance to win an iPad or a laptop.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years.
So much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Pure and cleaner.
It's that time of the year, and we are ready to help you with your household cleaning needs, and that is bedspreads, comforters, duvets, duvet covers, drapes, and also wearing apparel. All items at 10% off prepay, and turnaround time will be 2 to 3 days. Orders can be handled at all 3 stores: Elgin Avenue 949-2452, Savannah Countryside 946-1884, and Eastern Avenue Drive-Thru Rain or Shine 949-7104. That's 949-7104. All stores close at 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I believe, like Mr. Raymond, his work is perhaps like so many people, not as valued and appreciated and recognized as it should be at the time. But we all see the importance of it, and there are so many others who are the unsung heroes, perhaps unlike the others, Mr. Raymond, because of the public profile and perhaps his own penchant. He makes it a duty to keep us informed. The question is, though, if we hearken to our heritage, the seafaring tradition, that maritime sort of history that we have, what more can we do, not only in supporting him and developing others like him relative to the safety of our waters, maybe for not just the commercial traffic, but for the leisure enthusiasts who may want to move about the country. Can you think of it? You splash somewhere off Northwest Point, and then you take a quick jaunt for the day across West Point, and you end up somewhere in East End. Then you can make all the way back, and you pull up somewhere in Mashaw's. You come back, spend the day. Or whether you sail your catch, or whether you're going to go out on your catboat, or you may just take out your motor cruiser. Boating for some is a wonderful, wonderful outing. For others, it's a bit of a daunting, almost a sense of trepidation. Now, as we invest in the maritime aspect of our economy, recognizing that we do have a world-class, a phenomenal team headed by a truly, truly gifted gentleman in the form of Mr. Walton over at the Maritime Authority, we can expand that, include more of us in that career, in that positioning of our economy. And as we develop a Coast Guard, maybe greater resources in that. There's no question that I have some serious reservations and misgivings about this so-called regiment. Instead of developing a disaster response, we seem to be deploying more of a military-like approach. Now that may fall harsh for some, but for others, if the truth is not told, then you can't say you never heard it. So 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Let's invite you to consider two things. There's more to life than what is transpiring now. Let's look at the political landscape around the globe, but let's look at it right from the Cayman context. We have some very astute parliamentarians who've gone before, many to come, and even now in the present cohort. The recent announcement in the House of Parliament may have come as a bit of a shock and an unexpected surprise. For others, it was just a matter of time. The question is, how do we get a country in discussing the things that are important, understanding that there'll be different views and opinions, and those differences don't necessarily need to divide. We don't need to look for a consensus because it's the political expedient thing to do, but look for a way to work together to move us forward. I don't know. Have you ever tried, two people having to push, some object? They wanted to move north, but one is pushing it west and the other is pushing it east. And you ever see the object move? Now, it may gain a little because of the strength of one being greater than the other. But even at that case, it's going to end up in one direction, but not in the north of the direction that was intended or needed. Well, if we're not working together, that may be exactly what might happen. So, should we not consider putting resources where they'll be better deployed and more useful? The whole economics, example of guns and butter. Some may remember it. Let's go to the phones, huh? Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles Greeny Bank.
Good afternoon, Mr. JSE. How are you, man?
I'm extremely thankful, man.
You sound young and healthy, man. That north side wind must be blowing a cool breeze.
Like what them older folks used to say. I'm just as fit as a fiddle.
Fit as a fiddle, right? And some will say as tasty as a sugar mango.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have something to say here that is very important to me for the last few years well now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, listen careful.
Yes, sir.
The public are there and I listen to this. This is where I may talk. And I say, Mr. Raymond Scott there. Mr. Raymond Scott should be one of the best paid people in the Cayman Islands job that he do. Apparently, he's getting no recognition at all. I do not know whether he wanted or was he offered something for it or whatever. What I think that will be necessary for us to do to find out if the government is not going to answer this question, then we will petition it and find out what is the reason why he never been offered something. Because that is an important part of this island. That man sits up on a mountain, he hardly go sleep.
Mr. Jim, as I listened to you, I was just thinking to something, and I know in the various districts there are one or two people, some of the old seafarers, the old sea captains, they will have their marine radios in their possession. Some would have some nice antennas that could help to communicate. As you were saying that, I'm wondering, as we've built this network of cell towers across the country, if there's a way either attached to them or even as the people who would want in their own yards. Now, a 10 dB antenna can be quite high if it mounted even higher on your roof and the like. But what if we were to somehow ring, the country with those? We don't need to have a single sideband. We could have a good VHF that could help us to communicate between Grand Cayman and the sister islands, but also between, one district and the next. You at West Point, you're trying to figure what's happening up, off East End somewhere. It'd be easier to do it sometimes with a marine radio.
Of course, definitely. You want to find out something about that? You check Captain Hurston.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Now he would find time to do that. He'd be worse than Raymond.
Well, we see the ham operators having something similarly, and I think that there are those of us when the fishing tournaments would go on. If we were near a VHF, whether it was the handheld or otherwise, it was kind of fun to hear, some of the banter back and forth. But even just the casual sort of boating enthusiasts could use a little bit of assistance from time to time.
Exactly. Listen, we are a parent country, and nobody now made us this year that we were created as that place out in the middle of no place except where the Creator wanted us to be. No place to go.
Yes, sir.
Stuff to do. And now we are being taken advantage of. Don't try to change that now. We are being taken advantage of.
But isn't that our
defend that?
Yeah. But isn't that our sort of downfall? I take, for instance, right? We have people who've come and have made untold invaluable contributions in the most positive way. And some of those people we have ignored as well, because they seemingly have not only been invited, they've accepted the invitation, they have contributed. They're so much a part of the fabric of this country that you think that their ancestral links go back to the first people, right? And yet we dismiss even them. Then there are others who we can barely understand what they're saying. You can see the hate in their eyes and the tone of their speech. They get their communities. They act with such an arrogant, contemptuous, disdainful approach. But we celebrate them and elevate them. Back in the day, maybe we would have given them a good backhand slap.
No, man.
No?
We would have invited them in for a drink or a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah. Well,
come.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, the good people we seem to disparage.
Yeah.
The other people that we can look at and say, boy, he's not good. But we seem to suck up to him, promote him. I don't quite get it, but I guess the squeaky wheel gets the oil, huh?
Well, there's one good thing I can say, that we don't have any place to go. We're not about leaving Earth. You can't leave this bubble that we're in at all. You here forever. Trust me. You don't have no place out.
Right.
No such thing as out. Yeah. You're in here.
But as you were sharing, with Mr. Raymond, his his willingness, and there are many who would have very, very direct personal accounts where they would, be able to contact him either by phone or by radio and share information, and he would use the vast network that he has. He seems to not just be skilled, but hopefully getting some level of enjoyment. There is obviously a lot on him to be able to, spend, as you just relayed, almost, 12 hours monitoring a radio, paying attention. There's a mental anguish that I would come with that, a sense of, wow, hope this is okay, these people are fine. So what can we do, do you think, to make it not just appealing for him, but have a level of succession that others in a more structured way would be part of that maritime assistance?
Now, I got some very good ideas coming up in the very near future. Don't you worry about it. You hear me on that radio.
All right. Well, looking forward to that, sir.
I'm not ready for it yet.
No. But you share when you can.
What Jehovah has given me how to come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
You too.
Yes, sir.
Don't try to leave him out.
Mm-hmm. Not true, sir. Okay, Mr. Jimmy. Thank you for that, sir.
That's just a touch of it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we got a lot of good wisdom amongst our people. We have a wonderful winning spirit in our people and a gracious heart. Now we're going to pause and take a short break. Hit the news. What is going to be shared? You haven't heard it yet? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The PACT-led government welcomes new member Boddentown East Independent MP Dwayne John Seymour. He leaves the Progressives-led opposition and states this is about what's best for his voters. In international news, 4 people were hurt, 1 seriously, when a World War II bomb blew up on a railway construction site in the German city of Munich. The fire brigade says it happened during drilling work close to the main station. Unexploded wartime bombs are frequently found in Germany and prompt big evacuations, but most are defused by experts without exploding. A 15-year-old has killed 3 fellow students and injured 8 others, including a teacher, in a high school shooting in the U.S. state of Michigan. Officials say they do not know whether they were targeted. Police allege the suspect, a pupil at the school, used a handgun that his father had bought on Friday. Pop stars Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, and Bad Bunny were among the most streamed artists of 2021, according to figures from Apple Music and Spotify. But it was newcomer Olivia Rodrigo who took the top spot in the UK, with Good For You emerging as the most played song on both services. Globally, her debut hit Driver's License was the biggest song for Spotify users. Apple's audience preferred the slick pop of BTS, whose single Dynamite was the most played song of the year. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon. Welcome back. I can see that it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, not because of, we live in a place where it snows, but maybe the sea of red that some of us will wear. Maybe it's that Christmas breeze we're starting to feel. You can tell that the waters by the seashore are becoming a bit chilled. There are those who are appreciating the weather because they get to go outside a little more, maybe take their cameras out and enjoy the wildlife. Maybe they don't feel it to be as uncomfortably hot as it was just a few months prior. Or whatever it is that you're doing, hopefully you're getting to enjoy it. And recognize that it is a trying time, but be positive, for this too shall pass. The question is though, and I say this hopefully to remind myself, that sometimes, it's not just what you say, it's when you say it, it's how you say it, to whom it's said, and it's even, the notion that it is what is being said, but we are too quick to kowtow. We're too quick to protect our own selfish sort of domains without understanding the greater good, even though we will publicly champion that. Give this example. Take, for instance, a coach, a teacher, or the like, who may say it's all about the children. In that public display, the policy, and everything else, it's indicative that that's all about the children. But do their actions actually align with the words? So the child is in the classroom, for instance, and isn't seemingly getting what is being taught. Maybe fidgety. How do we respond? Even if the child is, in our estimation, acting up or disruptive or whatever the reason is. Or maybe the child is very, very quiet. How cognizant are we that something is transpiring that for some reason isn't getting the child to get the most out of this learning opportunity? And do we say, well, that's just one. You know what? There are 99 more, so this one doesn't matter. Well, what if that one was you? Or what if that one was one that you really cared about? Really meant something to you. How would you feel? Well, sometimes we don't really care enough to even think about that. But what about if it's not the classroom, it's on the football field? That child may be naturally inclined to that particular sport, but like everything, a little bit of counsel and guidance, proper, nurturing a positive environment would help that child to develop not only the particular skill, but a sense of love for life that makes, not just greater propensity for enjoyment, but gives that child a better sort of opportunities that lie ahead to get more and to give more. But what do we do? Maybe we're older than that particular child, so we don't really care. Or, young and brash, and he will learn. If he can't hear, you feel. But what if it isn't that? Or what if it's an expenditure of money by an organization, a non-for-profit, some foundation, or private sector entity that's making a donation, or it's a government program or policy that is going to decide this will be a priority over that. But we don't think it should be. No, maybe one voice or a collection of voices. Are we singing in unison? But even if it's the one person, do we have what it takes, to stand in the gap? Are we made of such metal to speak up? Now, many of us will talk openly about things that we don't really care about, or that we're not as informed. Many of us will say things publicly that we don't really agree in our hearts. Our eyes betray, our words. There are many of us that are so afraid of our shadows that we wouldn't even, darken the doorway. It takes all kinds. The question is, it's not that we expect to be a martyr. It's the question is that we prepared to engage in the mission. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Quick reminder, our friends from the Economics and Statistics Office will join us at 1:30. We get a chance to talk about the ongoing census and understand maybe some things. Maybe we'll be able to even figure out the timeline as to once they concluded the data collection and the collation and all the analysis, when we would be able to get that information. Would invite all of us that, haven't as yet participated to make ourselves available. Certainly want to thank the many enumerators who have given of their time, despite being compensated. It's a different time. It's a time that may mentally sort of weigh on people as they interact and associate with others trying to get the information. And for those of us who are the respondents to the survey questions may feel a bit of anguish as well. So let's work together like everything else. Whether we're at the grocery store waiting to check out, or we're walking through the aisles to make our purchases, we're seeing that the shelves sometimes are very much looking like it was a nor'wester and the ship is still anchored offshore and can't, get into the port. Well, that may be because of, the limited availability of certain products not just for export to our shores, but even the production is somewhat curtailed, and that demand by other markets make it priority for them over us. Could it then mean that our priorities need to be reevaluated? Could we embrace what the Minister of Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture, and many of the champions for local production have been almost seemingly crying in vain for the last decades relative to our farming? Can we complement and supplement our dinner table and our wallets by growing more? Eat what we grow and grow what we eat. Now, what would that look like if some of our more arable lands are being developed for commercial purposes as opposed to agrarian pursuits? Well, who's to blame? Answer isn't as easy as you would imagine. And with that, perhaps you may want to also consider what do we do relative to building greater capacity within our society to strengthen the resilience and the resolve of our people. I think we have many good examples that we could follow from the globe. We've already started to do some great things relative to the trainings that have been deployed over the years. We think of, for example, the Red Cross and its first aid programs, but we also look at the development of the CERT teams, the community emergency response teams, as part of that hazard management initiative in collaboration with the various communities. The skill sets that have been developed, the opportunities for those communities to get to know each other better, to be more connected, can lead to a healthier, safer community through, indirectly and certainly deliberately, if they so choose to expand it, a neighborhood watch, not a neighborhood crime watch, a neighborhood watch. So you know your neighbors, you're paying attention. You then know that within your community, you have teachers and doctors, you have carpenters and plumbers, really, really important people. And you can also be cognizant that sometimes this individual, because of maybe her semi-retirement state, maybe her age, maybe it's the way the family is structured, maybe home at certain hours. And you go and you keep company, you're looking on the person. But I think to some societies where very young children are moving from home to school without the parent, guardian, or some adult, because the wider community is there to watch over and to make sure that that child gets safely from home to school and back. And yet there are many of us, even in our cars, being chauffeured, are unsafe in some communities. Would we, not question what we are doing here and what we had once? Was it a place where we moved freely and safely in our communities? Are we now at a place where we're concerned that we can't do that because of A, B, or C? Well, it's not difficult to imagine that if that happens elsewhere, it could happen here. If it's happening here, are we ignoring it and saying, oh, that's them over there? It affects us all. So whether we believe that our money will either buy happiness or allow us to choose a misery, whether we believe that our money will insulate us from certain things, perhaps we need to measure the quality of life and the true standard of living by our safety, our security, our stability, the level of civility and sanctity that we have within our society. And coming together as a people, working collectively or responsibly and lovingly together can make it so much better. You ever, just within this country, taken a drive around some neighborhoods and wondered to what extent the neighbors know each other and interact? And knowing sometimes that they don't, but knowing the ones that do, you see how much there's a spirit of giving and thanksgiving, a spirit of appreciation and expectation, a spirit of joy and love. And what's celebrated as we go into the Christmas is just that. And maybe it's a time to reflect on it. No more division and discord, but a sense of unity that will strengthen our community. Well, it's just about 1:15, and we'll pause and take that midpoint break. We welcome you to give us a shout when we return. Here are two options that you can call: 949-8037 or the Flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Many of us, numbers are just the things that we like. For others, oh man, that's too many numbers. Can you just say that in a color? Well, no. So 1-800-534-8255. Let's pause and take that break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Urban Adolphus Tibbetts Certificate of Honor, 1914 to 1991. Urban Tibbetts was the 12th and last child of William and Henrietta Tibbetts of Kimmenbrack. As a young man, he went to sea for a few years. When he returned home, he served as a police officer for 3 years and then returned to sea. After retiring from sea for the second time, he joined the Public Works Department and within a few years became supervisor. During his years as works supervisor, he supervised the construction of Kimmenbrack Airport, the road to the lighthouse on the bluff, and the road on the south side of the Brack. He did not just supervise the work, but worked along with the men on the job. Urban raised cattle, and when he butchered at Christmas time, he often gave away beef to families who could not pay for it. He was always willing to help those in need. In the early 1950s, he donated the land for Fellowship Baptist Church, and once it was built, he joined the church and became a deacon. Urban was married to Vida McLaughlin, and the couple had 7 children.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kimmenbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Watch and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime bundle. Stream all the music you want in the music. Binge Christmas movies in PlayGo. Watch NBA games in Sportsmax, all while on the go without using any of your data. That's more entertainment, more data, plus more chances to win from thousands of prizes. Enter to win the grand prizes of $10,000 cash, $5,000 cash, or a Digicel family pack with 4 smartphones and free service for a year. Claim your guaranteed prize every Saturday. Buy a 7-day Prime Plus bundle for $20 today. Digicel, better together this Christmas.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. 1-800-534-TALK is our toll-free line as we go straight to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Dwayne, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you today?
It's been quite a while we haven't talked, so...
my apologies for that, man.
I forgot your first name.
Yeah, well, what's in a name, they say, huh? It's always Sterling.
Well, good afternoon to you and the rest of the residents on the islands. I just want to touch on two topics briefly.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is listening to the budget address a couple of nights ago. I was happy to hear that the Premier, they wanted to adopt the United Nations Development Goals. Also talked about the budget is for the middle class. Two questions. How do we define middle class?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so once you have a middle class, you have to have an upper and a lower.
I'm listening.
So I don't know whether I fall in the lower class
but
or in the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
What's the criteria used to define who falls within the middle class? I don't want to be considered a class of persons.
There you go. Why do we have to have that?
No, you can determine me. I can be either black, white, brown,
Mm-hmm.
a certain race, ethnicity, but not class. They want to define me by my income, the upper income, medium, middle, lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but not class.
I mean, so does that mean then by default then there's people with class and people without?
I don't see where we should define people by class.
Exactly. No, I'm with you. I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. You see, we start assigning labels, and then all of a sudden, now we're to say no. Money can't buy class, right?
Well, I think so. In the Western societies, we have accepted without questioning your middle class. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What really does it mean being a middle class? Is it because of how much money you earn?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, what are the upper and lower bounds of what determines whether you fall in the middle income, upper income, or lower income?
Right.
Now, if you use the government salary scale, is that similar, the same as the private sector? I would say no. I think it is different. Maybe it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too much knowledge of the salary scales in the private sector. I know in the bank, for example, you generally start as a teller, but the difference between a teller and the bank manager,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yes, getting back to the budget, I'm happy that the Premier has made that announcement that they're going to adopt these goals. But that also means determining who is in the lower income group, who is poor. Because one of the goals is to lift the poor out of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know how many of those people you have, how do you know that you have achieved the goal or not?
But even and I think hopefully people would understand and appreciate, the importance of what you're sharing, and that even if you say let's make it easy, say 5,000 as a threshold, that you're poor and now poor. What about your disposable income? You now have a certain level of income, but other than that, these are your living expenses. What is left for your discretionary income? What are you able to save? Are you able to enjoy, some of the other things that are considered to be extracurricular? The music instruction for your children, the sporting activities, the socialization that may come at the end of the month for some, the other things. Are we able to do that?
I want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
But I really hope, you're having on a ESO shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel confident in saying that they probably won't be able to answer the question either as to, because I don't think there's been a government policy as what defines poverty.
Right.
How many people fall into that bracket.
Right. we went back to that National Assessment of Living Conditions.
Yeah.
That was so long ago that we've probably forgotten all about it, right? But it was just yesterday for those who are still living that impact of limited incomes and growing expenses. If I could ask though, should it be for the elected parliamentarians to determine through whatever policies that they want those actions that would bring about the sort of definitions and determinations, or should it be for some other level of civic engagement that looks at those things? He who feels it knows it, as it were.
Yes, but then again, I agree with you to an extent. But then again, who's going to implement it? I think that falls on government.
Right.
So if they're not on board with it, then I don't see them implementing it. And not only the current, but past and probably future government as well.
Right. I mean, one of the interesting things is that we hear people talking about, people will live in certain countries and they, make lesser than $1 a day or something, right? And we think $1 a day. But what if that $1 a day means that they can live like this, and this, and a much better quality and standard of living than you who making, $1,000 a day, for argument's sake?
Right, because they can probably save maybe 10, 15, 20% of that $1 a day.
Right. I mean, it wasn't long ago when many of us started working and $300-400 a month. Man, if you were making that, you were making good money. Right? Now you're making that a day. Relative, man, relative. People don't seem to. Is that then the idea of urban planning and economics? Because they go hand in hand. Is there a lack of appreciation and understanding and study of those areas that may be making us less able to appreciate what needs to be determined and action?
Dwayne, I would want to say yes. Because over the years, but we had the first quote-unquote development plan, 1977. There were some minor amendments to that in 1997, 20 years later. There hasn't been really any sort of official review has been carried forward in terms of reviewing the whole development plan and coming up with a new one. So 97, we're now in 2021. That's 40 odd years.
Well, 97 to know, right?
Right. Now, the law clearly states that once, at least once in every 5 years, there shall be a review. Now, if government does not undertake the review, who's there to prosecute them because they didn't do what the law demands of them?
Right. But even our Constitution, we don't review that properly and keep sort of ongoing dialogue. But is it then just casual commentary? When we look at any sort of reviews or amendments or even rezoning, for want of a better term, they seem to benefit a small subset of people, and sometimes maybe to the detriment of others. I don't know. I mean, we can import a lot of things, but is it possible to import more land? We can dredge and fill, but then that has a consequence as well.
No, and based on what you just said, look at, we have this quote-unquote national food security policy.
Yeah, there's been some, I forgot the exact title, but yeah, some steps towards that. Yeah.
Okay. But then we keep rezoning those arable lands for residential purposes.
Without, recognizing that there are people who will say, well, I can farm this and make nothing, or I can sell it, have a rezone, and I can make a whole pile.
Right.
So how do we value it? and incentivize those to do one option over the other.
You look at the highest return,
Mm-hmm.
and granted, if you rezone it from agricultural to residential, your immediate return is greater, yes. But in the long term, how much does that benefit
Mm-hmm.
the residents of the island? And if you aren't planning for the people of the jurisdiction, then who are you planning for?
That's been the age-old question, for whom are we developing? But then, and I say this, and if it offends, then, so be it, right? Because sometimes some people's conscience need to be pricked. But if you get an investor, and usually as the late, Bo Miller used to say, and now we've heard it so often in the past from Mr. Edson Miller that we stop hearing it until we heard others share it. That's qualified by the word foreign, right? Will come here, and we don't know the source of funds, we don't know the person seemingly, and they walk away with a ton of money at our expense.
Yep.
Is that what we want? And the more that sort of imposition, the greater the probability that there's going to be a growing discord within our communities. I'll share this with you, and this is where I think we can benefit and we've failed. We have people who have come here, and they've been here for decades, and their love, respect, admiration, appreciation, their sense of being sort of imbued with this country, you would think that they were here from day one,
Yes.
And you listen to them share what has transpired in their 20, 40 years, sometimes even 10 years that they've been here, and give examples of what they've seen from their home country or the countries in which they've worked, and then share with us. Be mindful that if you don't do this, this will be the consequence, or if you continue doing this, this will be the consequence. All negative, and we ignore it. We castigate those same people. But some two-bit, running nose, smell of face, looking mutt coming from some apartheid-driven place, growing discord, and boy, we celebrate them. I have to wonder, what is it that we're thinking?
Of course, the dollar. Look, and they say, one of the main contributors now to our potential surplus is from stamp duty on the sale of land.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry.
Yeah, man.
But on the same token,
Mm-hmm.
we hear people complaining now how expensive it is for quote unquote the middle class to be able to purchase property to do something.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, one other short point, and that is I see in the Compass where government has set aside $20 million to restore the part of the west, the 7 Mile Beach. My question there, has the property owners contributed anything? Now, as a Caymanian, they don't want us on the beach. But it's okay to take our money to quote unquote restore it.
And will that be a long-term fix? Will there be any need to move, as some have alleged, some of the offending structures that jutted into the shore from the, sea walls and cabanas and whatever else it is that are out there? What is our approach and what is our intent? What's the motivation?
Yeah. The solution that I see would be for government to purchase those properties over a period of time and redevelop them and set them back, because like some of the newer properties now are set back 150, 160 feet, which would generally be beyond the vegetation line.
Yes, sir. Well,
and you go up and you sell those new condos. I mean, the private sector is doing it.
Yeah, man. My friend, Ms. Susan, reminds us that we are indeed, on borrowed time. Thank you for that contribution, and thanks, Ms. Susan, for letting the conversation continue. We take the break a little bit beyond that computer-generated, artificially propagated time. Talk is cheap. Action, that's where the road and the rubber meet. Let's pause and take a break. More talk today.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Had a look at those investment options yet?
Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
Do you know how well your pension plan performed? Attend the Chamber Pension Plan's annual general meeting to stay informed and find out how you can achieve your desired retirement lifestyle. Members are invited to meet our trustees and take part in our question and answers segment on 1st December 2021 at 6:30 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce Boardroom in Governors Square. Refreshments will be served. Please visit our website chamberpension.ky or email admin@pensions.ky for further details. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
CG Britcay would like to wish our clients, their families, our staff, and our communities a happy holiday. In this time of celebration, let us remember what this past year has taught us. That we can be in different rooms, different homes, or on different islands, yet never feel apart. Because we are here for each other and stronger together. We look forward to the new year, to serving your insurance needs, and to always putting people first. Happy holidays from our CG Britcay family to yours.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And I'm always honored when the great team over the Economics and Statistics Office will join us. There was a day way back when in the glass house on the second floor, back in the corner there, when people like Mr. Lee Ramon and John Moore and the others used to bounce back and forth, man. Those were the days, when we understood the importance of things, and as we still value economics, I'm glad that we can have a chance to talk to Mr. Selburn and Ms. Angeline, the notion of our ongoing census. So, as asked prior to the break, maybe Ms. Royal, let's start with you first. A special welcome and good afternoon, and thanks for coming on board.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me this afternoon. A special good afternoon to your listeners as well. So, by way of introduction, I'm Angeline Royal. I'm a senior statistician at the Economics and Statistics Office, however, currently acting as the census manager.
I see what you brought along.
Good afternoon, Grand Cayman. Good afternoon, Cayman Brack. Good afternoon, Little Cayman. Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling Dwayne. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure for us to be here. My name is Selbryn Christian. I'm also a statistician, a senior statistician at the Economics and Statistics Office. I'm currently serving as one of 2 area coordinators in Bordentown for the census.
Right. And I certainly appreciate you guys coming along. And I think too many times we let numbers be that thing that somehow dismay us. But numbers don't lie. It's just us who lie. And I just... Ms. Royal's like, really? But numbers, it's just a language, right? And the great work that you're doing with, first preparing surveys, whether it's the labor force survey, whether you're looking at trying to figure out where our CPI is, but something as important as a census, understanding from biblical days, you have to make a way somewhere about in order that Caesar can find out what's going on. To be counted, right? March on 4th. Could I then ask, what is a census and what is the purpose of a census? Maybe start at the beginning and see where it takes us.
So in its simplest terms, a census really provides a periodic count of all residents in a country. The census gives vital statistics that enable governments to take action, whether it means that they're updating the infrastructure or simply managing the resources so that they can plan for the future of all residents. So generally, a census is conducted once every 10 years and allows countries to plan for the next 10 years.
All right, and as we look at its importance, we can see that governments, not just the one but successive governments, but then even businesses that are on sort of aspiring entrepreneur, but that established business that wants to maybe expand into a new market, that data would be helpful. I mean, so what are some of the importances of census as well as we're looking at planning infrastructure and developing health education and other resources?
Right. As you suggested, the basis of any worthwhile decision making is accurate and timely information. As such, after the census and of course all our data gathering exercises, anonymized and aggregated information can be used by government agencies, businesses, and other organizations for developing policies and programs and projects, such as whether they want to develop offices, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, housing, schools, health, and recreational facilities. Mm-hmm. Also, the census would provide information for the development of roads, telecommunications, and other infrastructure, planning services, products, markets, policies, projects, or resources for all residents or for particular age groups, areas, or districts.
And I certainly want to ask about maybe at some point some of the census questions and the whole process, but we're looking at a census and in a Cayman context. I think it's possible, if I'm not mistaken, is even probably the intent to get a survey from everybody. Some countries, because of the last population and the size, may only sample. Mr. Christian, we're looking at getting everybody, right?
Yeah,
counting everybody.
Definitely. In terms of who is required to participate in the census, all residents of the Cayman Islands, as at Sunday, October 10, 2021, should complete a census interview. Irrespective of nationality, where you're from, once you've been resident or were residing in the Cayman Islands, as at Sunday, October 10, you should complete a census interview.
If I could, because sometimes I think people are accustomed to the census taking place on a defined date and time. Now because of circumstances, we're extended. This is now December 1st, still 2021 here. You said residents and the like. So for a person that is here now, but came on the 12th of October, or came on the 30th, we're not here on 10/10/21. Is that person included? Just for clarity.
Technically, no, because the information being collected has a reference period, and that reference date, census day, is what the population was as at census day.
Okay, help me to understand, but also maybe even to explain to others. Take a business who is preparing its balance sheet. It's did the inventory, counted what was on the shelves on that day, and then over the next ensuing weeks, the auditors and the accountants are putting together the information. The business is continuing, but as at that day, October 31st, 2021, October 10th, 2021, this is the balance sheet of the business. This is its inventory. This is cash in the bank. Is it similar to that then, even though that financial statement may not be completed until the end of the year and published?
Yeah, similar to that. So
Okay.
you still have that reference period,
Okay.
irrespective of when you complete the compilation and all that.
Okay. Now, Ms. Royal, from that perspective, today is the 1st of December. 10/10/21 was yesterday. When it was. When is this?
8 weeks
Just
ago.
yesterday.
Was it? 8 weeks ago. I didn't have hair. Okay. Still going. When is the census finishing, Mom?
So, the census will only be completed when every single resident of the Cayman Islands is counted. We're aiming to count 100% of Cayman Islands population.
Okay. And with that, now when we're saying 100%, I mean, which is thankfully because of the size of the jurisdiction, the geographical, and also the size of the population, it is possible. Tentatively, if it's not improper to ask, do we have a target in mind that we would want it done by, hopefully by this time? I know things are different. It's a moving target, perhaps, but do we have sort of unofficially, well, like it done by tomorrow or end of the year? Do we have something that we could share? Motivate us so that we get it done.
It has to be a moving target because of the difficulties and some of the challenges we experienced out there. As you recognize, COVID, we had a community outbreak of COVID. I don't know if I'm using the word outbreak correctly, but we
I don't know either.
Right, we had an increase then in the spread of COVID-19 in the community, and of course that was a setback in terms of the households we could visit because some people were in isolation or quarantine, and we also had concerns for the number of field staff we had, because some of our field staff, even though they did not actually contract COVID, some of them had to be in isolation.
Because of connected circumstances.
Because of connected circumstances.
Which is, we have to be understanding and the like. But with that in mind, though, do we kind of get a sort of progress report? Where are we so far with it? How is it going? What sort of percentages?
Just to add a little to what Ms. Royer was saying, in terms of the time frame also for census, the public's participation also contributes to that, because at this stage we've visited some households multiple times who haven't yet been able to complete the survey because the households might be delaying and so forth. So that also plays a part in terms of the timeline. In terms of progress, as at the 25th of November, we were at about 80%, and we've been progressing steadily since then. We have another meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning, Angeline?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning with the census management team, where we'll now have a picture, a more timely picture of where we're at exactly now.
Okay. Well, when we come back from this break, maybe you can help us to appreciate what we as the public can do to assist and help us the process, when the actual census is being taken at that point by the enumerator and the household, who responds, how is the response, and different little things that we could get a chance to understand so that people appreciate that we are being respectful of their safety as well as the enumerators. It's not a painful thing. It doesn't take all day. Give us a better picture, and people appreciate how important it is. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. See if Miss Susan can huck a coconut or two. And maybe we'll get her during the break. We'll never know. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You can now register online to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the MyHSA patient portal. Sign up is available online and at all HSA locations. All you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and an email address. Visit hsa.ky and click the My HSA patient portal icon to get started.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
The community is reminded to ensure the proper disposal of used LFT kits. Place the used LFT and all items into the marked bag with the biohazard yellow triangle symbol provided with the kit, and then discard in the garbage bin. For more information on waste disposal tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky or their Facebook page or call 949-6696.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And from the Economics and Statistics Office, two fine colleagues over there, Angeline Royal and our colleague Selma Christian joins us as statisticians within ESO, and now that we have the census ongoing, hopefully as a public we'll be appreciative of the importance. We understand what a census is. We understand, the confidential nature. We understand the acumen and the competence of all involved. And hopefully as a society we respond to 100%. We will be able to get timely, accurate information. But we wanted to ask just before, the break, we were asking. There's a two-part process. You train your enumerators to come out. We as the households, unless there's a different word I should use, tell me now, we need to be accommodating, accepting, and helpful. Is there anything that you'd want us to do, that we can do in order to help, not just let it be more accurate and timely, but, to go as smoothly and as efficiently and as effectively as possible?
Dwayne, we understand that census enumerators are working very hard towards getting everyone counted and completing the census interview. However, we encourage members of the public to welcome the census worker and provide accurate information about their household and housing characteristics. While the preferred method of conducting the interview is in person, census enumerators can also conduct the interview via telephone, as we have been doing for some of our callers. So we encourage you to welcome the census enumerator. If you have a problem in terms of your availability for having the census done, call us at 516-3329 or 244-4602, and we can make suitable arrangements for you to have the interview done.
So if I just may ask, I want to ask more about our process, but let's say one of the enumerators goes to a particular house, whether it's part of a larger complex, whether it's a standalone structure. They will, announce themselves, knock on the door. Legitimately, let's say there's nobody at home at that point for whatever reason. Is there some sort of way that the census enumerator has said, listen, I've been here? Do they leave a little post-it note on the door? A box of chocolate? I mean, what do they do? A card, perhaps?
Yeah. We haven't gotten to the box of chocolate yet, but we'll take that under advisement.
Thanks.
When the enumerator visits and if the household is not there at that time, we leave what we call a callback card, which includes the name of the enumerator and the contact number for the enumerator. And we would advise households to reach out to that number to contact the enumerator to schedule when the enumerator can revisit to get it completed.
Okay. And as Ms. Royal shared, it can even be done by phone. So in that, I want to ask, we know way back when there used to be, pen and paper, and there was multiple pages and you fill it out. But nowadays, I think we've gone digital.
Yes,
if reggae gone Grammy, census gone dig. So if it's done either in person or over the telephone, questions are asked and then the responses are then entered, whether in person or by phone, by the enumerator.
The information is entered into a tablet, and then it is...
Is it a 5 milligram tablet or is it just one?
I was going to say a tablet computer, to be specific,
I'm glad you did.
A portable PC.
There you go.
Yes, so we have moved away from a paper-based questionnaire to using a tablet. That means that an enumerator has to take the information from you because they have to enter it into these devices, and then it is what's the word, relayed to the census office.
It's uploaded and then they do
it. Right.
So if we could then ask then, and I think that makes hopefully the collation that much easier in an analysis because all is there.
In some aspects.
Yeah. We may ask you about that later, but just in the initial taking of information, let's say you go into a household and there are, there's two scenarios. I'm thinking of the context in Cayman. Let's say the household is two partners, let's call them parents, and their offspring. Does it matter who gives that information to the enumerator in that instance? So those will forgive me for not being in the 21st century, a man and a woman, they're married and they got 4 children, right? Does it matter who gives the information?
No, not really. In sense that we call that the key respondent.
Okay.
The person just needs to be an adult who is able to provide the information for the rest of the household. So it doesn't matter if it's a man or the woman. Once it's an adult that's able to provide information on the rest of the household, then they can provide the information.
Because there's a language way back when it used to be the master bedroom, that was called a primary. When it used to be the head of the household, that was called a key respondent. Okay. So what about in the case where there's, for want of a better word, a roommate situation? Again, it may be a house with 4 rooms, or it may be, 6 occupants in the house, but they're sharing the accommodation. How does that work?
So one of the things, this is a tricky one, but one of the things we have done, once we make contact with someone in the household, if they're unable to give information for the other members of the household, then we ask with permission to get the contact details for the other members of the household so that we can make contact with them at a later day, or we keep visiting until we're able to find them.
Okay. And as we go into the news break, timeline. I mean, people seem to be busy, but you ask them what they're doing, they're not quite sure. But we don't have time for that. How long, on average, would a person need to allocate to complete and prepare information?
It's not really long, and persons are often surprised when they actually do the complete the survey. I would say maybe 15-30 minutes to get completed. Anecdotally, today I was even conducting an interview for a person that refused initially. And when I got through, she say, "It's done."
Yeah.
I say yes, it's that painless.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes we have a bit of reticence because we're not sure exactly what is what.
What to expect.
So
yes.
after the news, maybe we could ask about some of the questions, the confidentiality, and the notion. If people listening are saying, "Oh boy, he's a champion for that information," I put it on the table. I think it's important for us to participate, irrespective of what a law may share. The importance isn't just today. It's for down the road.
It's for the future.
And it's not just for us, it's for future generations. So if I am seemingly encouraging us in a way that you don't think is appropriate, let me know. But I think I can justifiably say that this is crucial for the country to give information on us. No, but we get a chance to ask what sort of questions and how it's being used, and in our next segment. That'll be fine.
Sure.
Well, you see why ESO and a good director sent over his stalwarts. Well, this is why. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. In recognition of World AIDS Day today, the Health Services Authority is offering a free virtual session. HIV 101, Understanding HIV and AIDS, will be held this evening, December 1st at 6:30 p.m. To join the Zoom session, visit britishredcross.zoom.us. The meeting ID is 974-4172-9971. Passcode capital G, lowercase v, 3, lowercase p, capital D-M. In international news, the new Omicron variant has now been reported in 24 countries, according to the World Health Organization. But the WHO said early signs were that most cases were mild and not severe. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said vaccines would be crucial in the fight against the highly contagious new variant. Ms. von der Leyen said that with a third of the EU's population unvaccinated, it was, quote, understandable and appropriate for its members to discuss forced COVID vaccinations. Tel Aviv has been named as the most expensive city in the world to live in as soaring inflation and supply chain problems push up prices globally. The Israeli city came top for the first time in a survey by the Economist Intelligence Unit, climbing from 5th place last year and pushing Paris down to joint second with Singapore. Damascus and war-torn Syria retained its place as the cheapest in the world. Travis Scott's offer to pay the funeral costs of Astroworld victims has been rejected by half of the bereaved families. This includes the family of 9-year-old Ezra Blount, the youngest of 10 concert-goers killed during a crush at the Rappers Festival in Texas. Scott made the offer last week amid multiple lawsuits over the tragedy. A lawyer for the family of 14-year-old John Hilgert called the gesture demeaning and inappropriate. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us as we talk about the ongoing census. Mr. Celebrant Christian, his colleague, Angeline Royal from the Economics and Statistics Office are our guests. And 80%, almost there. We're going to get to 100% in short order. We were asking about some of the questions, what types of questions would be on the census questionnaire as well. What color are your eyes? What breakfast did you have? They're not on the question. Okay, one on the question.
Some of the questions, well, let me start by saying there are 12 sections to this census questionnaire, and it is dependent on your age as well as your gender as to the questions that you will actually answer. So the questions cover areas such as demographic characteristics, and these include questions about age, your sex, your nationality, the country you were born in, the usual residence of your mother, the usual residence of your mother at the time you were born.
But not your
there
father.
are questions about religious denomination. So you were saying something, Dwayne?
No, but not your father. Sorry, I just we're not there yet.
Yes, we're not there yet.
Okay.
But these are just some of the questions we ask. We have other questions about issues affecting the population, such as disability and health insurance, school attendance, educational attainment, marital and union status, fertility, and of course this is for females aged 15 to 49 years, employment, housing, mortality, immigration, crime, and the last section of the questionnaire looks at agriculture and fishing, as well as one question related to food security. So it's a wide-ranging questionnaire which seeks to get answers to some of the questions we have concerns for development.
Okay. And in that, if a household, let's say we have, thankfully, some households where the elderly are living independently, some are, with their extended families. If in a case like that, the person who would be the respondent is or would be more comfortable having, maybe someone else, one of their offspring or the like, present or offering up assistance, what is that possible, and what accommodations, if any?
Yes, that's possible. As I said earlier, if you have a situation like that, feel free to give us a call at 516-3329 or 244-4602. Or you can send us a WhatsApp message to 516-3329, and we'll have an enumerator in the office conducting the interview for you or the person for whom you have a concern.
Okay. Now, with the 12 areas I think you shared, and the questions, what if A, person, I genuinely don't know that answer, or B, are not comfortable? And I think sometimes from just past experience, for the last, 500 censuses that I've done, I'm just kidding. We do them every 10 years, so that would make me 5,000, I'm just kidding. When it comes to income, some people are, for whatever reason, a bit reluctant to share information. There may be other questions. If people are not at that point in time either able or particularly inclined to voluntarily supply the answer to that question, what about circumstances like that?
We know that income is not something that most people like to talk about. So what we have done is that we have created a chart, and I think most countries around the world are moving toward this, where you have a chart with whether you're paid weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or if you'd prefer to state annual figures. And there's a range. So all you have to do is give us the number for that range. So we still don't know definitively if you're working $6,800 for the month. We know a range, as you have indicated to us. And we find that more people are warming up to this idea, because even myself, when I ask the questions on income, when I ask that of respondents, and I say, you don't have to tell me the exact figure. I have a chart that has the ranges, and I read out the ranges. Sometimes I have to well, usually you would show the chart, but because we're doing it over the telephone, I have to read out the ranges for them. Sometimes I do it numerous times, but I find that people are more at ease with giving a range for their salary than giving the specific figure. If you are uncomfortable with even giving the range for your salary, we try to find other means to just show you how this information can help the country and encourage you as best as possible to give us in a way that you see fit. If you're still not comfortable with that, we'd make a note in the comment section and move on to the other questions, because as I said, the salary section is just one of 12.
Right. If I could, I mean, only if it's to hand, that sort of encouragement, examples of what you would use and do in order to get people to appreciate the importance of giving a response. What sort of examples do you have to hand, if any?
Well, we basically, Mr. Dwayne, we basically try to sell the survey. That's when we call on the enumerators to turn up the chime, yeah? It's a matter of coercion to engender goodwill and buy-in. So you try to extol the virtues of having that information, how that information can be used, how that information benefits the household, whether directly or indirectly, how it benefits us as a country. And you try to sell the survey at that point in time so you can get the information that you require.
All right. And to our listeners, in the interest of time and out of deference to the request from the ESO, Mr. Christian and Mr. Roy as our guests, we'll just have a discussion and not field any questions from the public at this time. But once the information is collected, and we did ask this earlier, people, for different reasons, some just sort of share curiosity, others out of genuine interest because of potential decisions that they want to make. Can that information be viewed, the data? If so, how, once it's been collected and the census is complete? Share with us how that would work.
Okay. In terms of the data, there'll be a census report that will be prepared. We're looking at the latter part of 2022. That will be out. So that will provide a lot of tables and information. But then once the data has been cleaned and we have it in-house, we can also facilitate data requests for specific data sets that we might not have published. Once we adhere to Section 17 of the Statistics Act, which prevents us from providing identifiable information. So as Ms. Angeline mentioned earlier, all the information is anonymized and aggregated, and we can provide the data in that form. But it will be accessible to the public once it's...
If you would, and I appreciate that people will understand that individually they'll be supplying the information as per the census questions. But once that information is made available to the public, it's the aggregate, we'll know in this age group between this and this is maybe the education level.
Exactly.
Or we'll know that, so it's not individual, but there'll be some levels of it that we can maybe be able to drill down according to age, by gender, or even by district or the like.
Yes,
there'll be certain information.
Yes, most of our requests come in for information by district or communities within districts. And we if it is not possible, so for example, I'm just saying argumentatively now, if there's a street with 4 houses on it, we wouldn't give that information. We try to aggregate as much as possible and present summaries of the bits of information that people would like to have access to.
From that perspective, if we could ask, because I think sometimes because we don't know, we don't have that level of information, and I don't want to use the word education, because people misunderstand it. Sometimes we use it, but we're not informed about things to that level. We don't understand how important it is. But as you aggregate the data collected, are you then able to drill down very, very deeply to look specifically at certain things? For instance, the district and the communities within the district, and then within the district, those things even further, whether it's the district or whether it's a particular data set relative to income levels or education. can you really get down to a very, very micro level even?
Yeah, we can actually get down to a very micro level in terms of pulling information from the data set. But as I mentioned, in terms of release to the public, we just have to ensure that the data is still anonymized.
Right.
That nothing identifiable is included, but we can drill down once we have the data cleaned.
Okay, we're going to take the final break. I didn't take the others on time. Let's see if I can do this one. When we come back, maybe we could ask you, with great respect, just to remind us of the participation. I want people to appreciate that not only there's a strong competence, but there's an absolute confidentiality with information that's being collected. The team has been trained, and we'll get the information when we get it. All right, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Kirk Freeport's $40,000 Christmas sweepstakes is back. Once again, simply spend $100 at your favorite Kirk Freeport store, and you could win one of 3 $5,000 cash prizes, one of 5 $1,000 cash prizes, and many other great prizes throughout December. All purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. And don't forget the annual Kirk Freeport Rolex Watch prize draw for all entries, held on January 4th. Full details on KirkFreeport.com. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks to Ms. Angeline Royal and her colleague, Mr. Selban Christian, from the Economics and Statistics Office, and the few minutes remaining for them to continue to share with us about the ongoing census. They shared we're 80% complete. The quicker we as the public can participate safely and respectfully, understanding that we are wanting both the respondents and the enumerators to be as safe. Now, Ms. Anthony, you shared that you can do it by phone if people wish. We have the tablet. A friend reminded me of a joke. He said, boy, his wife said, don't forget to take your tablet. And he had it in his hand and he was trying to put it in his mouth with water, but it was just too big.
It wouldn't go down.
It wouldn't go down. So anyway, Susan like, geez, that's not funny, boy. You better stick to posting shows. So it's done in a digital format these days that would make it that much easier. 15 to 30 minutes from that primary respondent. We were asking, let's go, because I want people to appreciate that it is not as, it is painless. Put it that way. It's not painful. Yes. It is painless. Probably more, for you, the respondent, than it is for the enumerator who has to walk around and drive around the district.
Yes.
So we can do it, right?
Yes, we can. My encouragement is for Census 2021, remember, everyone counts and be counted. If you're not sure how to contact a census worker, I'm going to try my best to repeat the numbers slowly. I know I tend to go fast.
You must be a best man.
So, our census hotline number is 516-3329. 516-3329. You can also reach me at 244 4602. You may also send us a WhatsApp message to 516-3329. We know that, the times you send the messages, we might not be in the area where there's Wi-Fi, and so there might be some delay in communicating with you regarding your WhatsApp messages, but we do try our best. We encourage you, welcome the census enumerator into your homes. Not necessarily inside the home, but in a position where they're able to get the information. It takes between 15 and 30 minutes to complete the census interview. Failing all of that, you have the option of visiting the census offices. In West Bay, we're located at Turtle Farms White House, which is just below the car museum, the census museum. We'll have that one day, the car museum. And in Bordentown, at the Bordentown Civic Center, we have 2 locations in Georgetown. Upstairs, number 1 shoe shop, we have an office there. And we also have another office at the Smith Road Plaza beside MedLab. In Cayman Brac, we have an office at 25 Kirkconnell Street, which is the vehicle licensing building. So we have all 3 islands adequately covered. There's a census office. You can reach out to the census office. And of course, there are several numbers for these census offices. I can give you a few of those numbers. For example, for the one upstairs, number 1 shoe shop, that's on Hospital Road, the numbers are 244-4600 or 244-4607 or 244-4632. For the office located at Smith Road Plaza, there are 2 numbers there, 244-4608 or 244-4625. Selburn, you want to take on the Bordentown office?
For the Bordentown office, you can reach us at 244-4676 or 244-4615.
And then people would call those with questions. But just for clarity, we're not expecting the households that can, for whatever reason, not be at home at a time to accommodate the enumerators to come to those offices and complete?
Yes, you may visit the offices or you may call.
Okay, perfect.
We are willing to take the information by phone, especially in light of the circumstances that prevail.
Okay.
The West Bay office.
The West Bay office. Oh, Nicole, you can reach the West Bay office at 4613. That's 244-4613 or 244-4633. I'm sorry, but I don't know the numbers by heart for the Cayman Brac office, but it's located at the vehicle licensing building.
Probably 948 and 4 digits after that. Just all right. Listen, a little bit of honey makes the medicine go down. We shared earlier that it's the collection of accurate, timely information, and then it has to be collated and then properly vetted and then disseminated. A couple of maybe questions from just the general public over the last, was it 6 weeks? Thereabouts?
A little more.
A little more.
A little more? Okay.
We're in our 8th week.
8th week.
Right.
The first 2 were just wet. That's good. With respect to the collection and stuff, any concerns relative to Part A and Part B? Us as the respondents, given information that is accurate and truthful, and then secondly, the enumerators being able to accurately and competently collect that information and enter it and so on. And sort of, for want of a better word, concerns, but also how do we make sure that both parties are hearing each other and being truthful and competent in our responses and our recording.
First, I'd like to say that under the Statistics Act 2016 revision, there are penalties for persons who, whether carelessly or deliberately reveal information that is provided to them by the public. No information provided by members of the public should be released without proper authority. The information collected under the census is also exempt from the FOI, which means we make every effort to ensure that all information provided to the census office or the census enumerator is kept confidentially. Importantly, too, so that's in the case of the enumerator getting the information. Members of the public can feel comfortable because all of us, all census workers, all persons involved in the work of the ESO have taken an oath of secrecy, which means that we are bound by the Statistics Act that we cannot give out this information. I don't know if I'm leaving out anything else.
That speaks to the confidentiality, and I think that should lay in affairs that you should have relative to the teeth in the legislation. But Sabra, I mean, it's human interaction at times, so hearing what the person is sort of saying and asking and then recording it.
The enumerators have gone through an extensive training, preparing them to do the job. So in terms of getting that information, transcribing that information, or inputting that information into the tablet, they're pretty versed on doing that. Just to touch back on Angeline's mention of confidentiality. Confidentiality is the crux of what we do as a statistics office. We have a reputation of confidentiality. This is not the first census. This is not the second census. We do household surveys through the year. We have developed a reputation of confidentiality, and in addition to that, that confidentiality is also protected under the Statistics Act. So we do hold that dear to us. We do take pride in our confidentiality. And also, there are penalties for us if we breach confidentiality. There are penalties in the law. So that's a very important part of what we do.
And I think, in the past, we have, as a people, been fairly responsive relative to the participation in the census. I think that's why you remind us of the importance for today, but for future planning as well, from education and housing to the infrastructure and healthcare, to so many things, and it's important to have that.
Recreational facilities.
Exactly. And if you look at our population and the graphics indicate that you have maybe an aging population, what services do we need to provide? What accommodations do we make?
Right.
Identifying service gaps.
Exactly.
And providing those services.
Is it that you're not having insufficient growing population because of a birth rate or whatever the reason? These are things. What I'm looking forward to is having you back on, God's willing. I'm here. Either that or I'm governor. Depends. Who knows?
Just throw it out there.
What do you mean, man? Anything can happen on the Wednesday.
Your mouth to God's ears.
Amen. But having that information, so as a people we are informed, so that timely, collection, but also that dissemination later on in that discussion and in the policies, so that we appreciate where we're prioritizing, where we're allocating our resources, and whether it's that entrepreneur looking at a way to expand or develop a new, product or service or a market, or is the government saying, hey, we need to look more closely at this, and this. This is where the data helps us to be informed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as on the business side of the statistics office in terms of survey, we have a saying that better data, better decision, better business.
I like that, man. Can I use that for my political campaign? Sorry.
Yeah, just give me a chance to copyright it first.
No, if I don't get trouble today.
The basis, you need accurate and timely information to make proper decisions. Without that, you're shooting, guessing in the dark.
With all seriousness, and I want to try to say that just so that people appreciate the importance of it. Say it again. Better
data, better decision, better business.
There you go. See that? You couldn't be that, Miss Angeline. No,
I like to say statistics for everyday life. If you think about it, just the fact that you get up in the morning, You making a cup of tea. How does the water authority know how much water to provide? It's some of the data that we give them that guides these decisions.
It helps. I appreciate you sharing as we close out the discussion that, that supply of water, the electric utilities saying, we may have a need to increase capacity in order. These are things that should not happen in a vacuum, and thankfully are not happening in a vacuum. But if we are not doing it properly and timely, then it may make it difficult. We're not in a place where, like some jurisdictions where they've developed and they have just towns waiting as the population moves in. We're finding that it's a challenge. So make efficient, effective use of our resources. Thanks to both of you, but your entire team and the director and the like for being with it, and all the enumerators for participating. Hopefully, in my attempt at being jovial, I don't overly offend too many people, but short people, we gotta start. All right. And then final thought, Ms. Royale, you want to leave, and then again, Mr. Selmer.
Get counted. The census is important for the development of the Cayman Islands.
And you don't have to get on a donkey to make your way there.
And for me, Mr. Dwayne, I just want to say, from the census team, 400 plus strong by now, between field supervisors, enumerators, area coordinators, it has been a long and arduous process, but we keep pressing on. We just implore the public now to just cooperate with us as we run through these last 20% of the population that we have outstanding. As Ms. Angeline says, and before I get to that, in terms of the census office are open between 9 a.m. and to 8 p.m. in the evenings. So we're doing 11 hours a day in the census office. And just to cap it off, remember, Census 2021, everyone counts. Please ensure that you're counted.
Thank you all very much, and let us know if we can be of any value to you. We certainly want to extend the invitation that next year, God's willing, that we can have a discussion about it. Just the data to see where we are. May I ask, whether I'm here or you are here, or whoever's here, that we start to give, once it comes in, a chance for people to understand it. There's some explanation, and we go through it. It's like everything. It's good to have information. It's better to understand what we're looking at. So that'll be part of our teaching tool, God's willing, next year.
Yes, sir.
All right, you bring on your teacher's hat, Miss Angeline. All right.
There's one last thing.
Yes,
there's also an email address that householders can reach us at. That's cayman.census@gov.ky. Please feel free to use all channels to reach us to get counted.
But thank you all very much. And,
thank you, Dwayne.
Certainly be counted in the census, and thanks to the wonderful team at ESO and the countless enumerators who are out there in our neighborhoods. If I may, with great respect to our communities, if you have a dog, doesn't matter how big, how small, it has teeth, it barks, it may make a few alarm, keep it at bay. But so too, keep your houses safe and hospitable as you welcome the enumerators by phone or in person, and be reminded that the information is confidential, and certainly the ESO has a stellar record at preserving that confidentiality. So thank you all very much. Now, tomorrow being Thursday, we have Mr. Loxter Banks coming into the studio. If you have been around Radio Cayman for any length of time, and in particular last week and a half, he's been diligently doing what he's always done, and that's preparing and producing some wonderful shows, and we're looking forward to that production. Come tomorrow. Got some else in store for you for Thursday after Friday, but let's start with tomorrow first, as Mr. Loxter brings us into the studio. Now, I'm going to be out and about. Miss Susan's going to be here playing some songs. Whatever she plays always sounds good. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.